Welcome to Asking Why podcast. This is your host, Clint Davis. We're back again, and this is episode 177. And looking at Chip, because I always forget. I'm glad to be back. We have Amanda Cruse, who is one of my favorite people on earth, and she's been on here before, and we've talked about equine therapy. Welcome back, Amanda.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here today.
Yeah, glad to have you. So we've been talking for a while. We talked last time, if you've listened to our episode. Amanda is an LPC, and she does equine therapy, and we dove into that in a long time ago episode. So if you want to hear all about the details of that, you can go back and listen. But today we're going to talk about a new nonprofit that Amanda is heading up called Manna. And it's a nonprofit that we're bringing into our community to work with other clinicians, other therapists, other churches, other resources. But I'm going to let Amanda tell you more about it. So catch us up. Tell us about Manna.
Oh, wow. Okay. This is I feel like I'm going to have to write a book one day. Mm-hmm. You've done that. I need to be in that space. I need to pick your brain about that sometime. But Manna feels like a creation story to me. It has, it's been in my vision. It's been a vision for me for a few years now, and transitioning now from for-profit to nonprofit with the equine aspect of what we've been doing is, it's necessary, and it's going to be useful to so many people. I feel like this is just a God thing. Like, there would be no reason for me to stop doing what I've been doing for the last few years because it's great. Right. I'm in the office 3 days a week and working out at my farm, and it had been being as a for-profit business, Counseling Cowgirl, partnered with Clint Davis Counseling to provide equine-assisted psychotherapy to people. I also partnered with some local nonprofits so I could provide services to more people that couldn't afford the route of EAP, which is equine-assisted psychotherapy. I don't want to get lost in all the letters today.
Yeah, real quick, I'll summarize for people. You know, there's a difference in like working with a horse and kind of doing psychoeducation, you know, and doing interactions, and equine-assisted psychotherapy, which is dealing with more of the clinical trauma, deeper level care, you know, helping them. And so there's some confusion because when people work with horses, they're like, oh, I do that too. I do equine therapy. And really, you know, we went through natural life and got that training, and really working with horses from a therapeutic standpoint. Both are helpful, but EAP is very specifically like psychotherapy. It's you're paying someone to help you to go back into your trauma, to help you, you know, ground yourself and reprocess and do that all through the relationship with the horse and with the therapist. But that's different than...
It's different than equine-assisted learning,
right?
Which is a non-clinical, therapeutic, experiential modality. Huge benefits for both of them. And the main difference between the two is EAP, equine-assisted psychotherapy, requires the presence of a licensed mental health professional, and EAL does not. You can be whatever your scope of practice is. You can be a teacher, you can be an educator, you can be, like me, I was a therapeutic riding instructor, and I am qualified to and have been trained to do EAL sessions. And also, just two different tracks of ways you can do equine-assisted services. And I feel like right now, I know I'm supposed to be talking about Manna, but this is a question we get all the time about what Manna is. And one of the things it is not, and people have gotten mad at me about this before, but it's true, it is not therapeutic riding. A big question is, will we ride the horse? And there are currently, I believe, 3 nonprofit organizations in this area that provide therapeutic riding, and they do great work. And there are huge benefits to therapeutic riding, or adaptive riding, it's also called. And the area that we are moving into with Manna is strictly for mental health and learning. It is not typically not riding based. There's a little bit that you can do with riding and that, but it's not that. So
you may put someone on there in an EMDR situation where they're doing bilateral stimulation, bareback, but that's going to be pretty rare.
Right. That would just be for processing trauma, and it's not traditional horsemanship.
Right. You don't have a saddle, and
Yeah, there may or may not be a saddle.
Yeah.
And the horse can say no, which is a huge departure from traditional horsemanship and adaptive riding skills. So just, clarifying, part of that is a part of Manna Horse's story. Currently, there is not a place that is offering these services in the Shreveport-Bossier area that is open to survivors of trauma, which is our basic population. And that's a broad range, but that's intentional. This isn't going to appeal to everyone. I think the transition is an important aspect because I could continue to do what we've been doing for the last 5 years now, offering, working in the office, which I plan to continue until I can't continue,
Right.
and then working with the horses 2 days a week. And basically, I've kind of reached my capacity on that. As an individual, I can't really add more people without taking away without leaving the office or cutting back. And because of the cost of equine assisted services, I'm funding it through my office work. So as a business model, it doesn't really make sense. This is why nationwide, the places that are offering these services, they're typically nonprofit because we need the help to pay all the things that need to be paid for.
Yeah, and bare bones, you're in the same way that if you wanted to do, any kind of sports related therapy or outdoor related therapy or hiking therapy or climbing therapy, there's all kinds of things that people have. You have equipment, you have costs, you have travel. And with the horses, you just have the added, okay, let's say it's $120, $150 to see a therapist just in an office with none of that. Then you're adding on per session, feed, horse care, all of those things.
Yeah.
So that has to be $250 a session for you even to make less than what you would if you were just seeing somebody in an office.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for laying that out because it's expensive. It's an expensive service. And
minus 40% in taxes.
No, we can't. Don't even go there.
Well, I'm just saying, it's crazy when people talk about therapy and they're like, oh, it's $100. I'm paying you $100 and it's like, well, you're paying me $100, but I'm getting paid 60 of that. And then I have to pay for overhead and tax,
right.
It's like, yeah, I got paid $30 for the hour I sat with you. I also don't work 40 hours a week because my brain would fall out of my ear to see 40 people in a
Right.
week. So I'm working 20 hours a week technically. And to cut my income in half.
Yeah.
And people don't think about this as, well, why do I pay a therapist that much? And it's like, well, what we're doing is not hanging sheetrock, right? I can't, you can hang sheetrock for 40 hours a week and you're tired and your shoulders hurt and, but if you expect a clinician to work with trauma and hear what we hear and do what we do for 40 hours a week, we would be burnt out and no good very, very quickly.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so true. And we could get off on this tangent and talk about, the brokenness of our medical system, and that's a big contributor to this problem.
Absolutely. Well, I think it is important aspect of why you're doing Manna Horse because the equine assisted therapy and the equine assisted learning is such a powerful tool compared to, drugs and compared to the simple quick fixes that insurance and Medicaid and certain types of therapy provides.
Right. Yeah, 100%. And that speaks to why Manna Horse. Why do it?
Yeah. Well, tell me about the name. So I know I screenshotted you, I can't remember when, this is when we started texting about that. But.
Yeah. That name, Manna Horse, came to me just so long ago. And it's all about God's provision. Manna as God's provision, and y'all, you can't make this stuff up. So this morning, I'm doing the daily Bible recap. I'm going through the Bible. Well, this morning, my first chapter was Exodus 16. I'm not surprised. At this point, God does so much in my life.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, Exodus 16, and the lady pointed out the manna. And what it means. And she said 3 different things. One was practical. It feeds the people. The second was eternal purpose. It glorifies God. And the spiritual purpose was testing the people and training them to trust God and follow his rules. And that is the space I am in
That's crazy.
right now. Yes. And it was just like, okay, God, I see you. I see that confirmation, and it's so huge. So even though, as you said, the name came years ago, I have wrestled with, in the beginning especially, does this need to be for profit? Does it need to be nonprofit? How do I do this?
Mm-hmm.
And, I keep coming back to another thing we said back then was, I don't want to run ahead of God. I don't want to, in my brain, I could see this huge thing, which, y'all, this is a tiny thing right now. It's not going to stay tiny, but I could see the vision for what it could be and how many people we can serve and how many people can be healed through this. And I feel like he gave me that vision back then as something that I can work towards, and not just for me. This is going to be my legacy. I'm not, in my 20s or 30s or, so this isn't something that I'm even going to see reach its climax. Mm-hmm. I'm going to see it grow, and I'm going to be in the foundation of it. But it is definitely God's provision and his work that's going to make this thing happen. I don't even know how it's going to happen, honestly.
You don't have to.
I don't, because he does. And I just have to know I had to get up this morning and do my Bible study and get ready to be on this podcast. And here we are talking about it.
Yeah, I mean, how beautiful is that for the Lord as your father to just go, hey, you're literally about to do a podcast on Manna Horse, this nonprofit that you're starting, and the chapter that you're reading is about the manna that God has given out to people, and the person's breaking it down in the same way in which, what we hope counseling can be for people.
Yeah.
That it can be spiritual, it can be a guiding, it can be coaching, it can be walking people through their pain and how to be in relationship with other people, because that's what this is all about. Mm-hmm. I mean, ultimately, the reason that equine therapy works so well is because it's so grounded on the relationship with the horse. And I think part of the problem with psychotherapy, if I can get on a tangent, is we've clinically made it so detached from relationships. The therapist is supposed to be this kind of neutral party that has no personality and no preference and no view. Mm-hmm. And you go to that person and they're just an objective listener. They empathize with you. They tell you what you want to hear. They validate you. And that's supposed to be what makes a person self-actualize and grow, is just this kind of neutral person. But that's not a real thing.
Yeah.
Like, as much as I want to come into the office and be loving and compassionate and kind to my clients, I'm no matter what, bringing myself into the room. And then research, you're in grad school and they tell you, well, only about 7% of what you do is theory, and the rest of it's the relationship you have with your client. And you're like, well, you just told me that I can't be myself and that I can't have a personality. I can't have any views. And look, I know we can go on both sides of that, and it can get really wonky, and you shouldn't be projecting onto clients and telling them what to do and forcing them. I'm not saying that. But with the equine therapy, the main focus is the relationship you have with this horse, which then very quickly brings to light all of your relationship issues elsewhere.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's so true. I never thought about how, even therapy in the office is so relational.
It's supposed to be.
Yeah. But they tell us, and they teach you in school that, you can't show up as your whole self, basically. Mm-hmm. And that's so wrong. Yep. Because the person that my client is responding to how they think I want them to be, mm-hmm. too. They're bringing their relational stuff into the relationship as well.
That's right. And authenticity is so important.
Yep.
And so why is authenticity important? Because it creates safety, right? This is all equine language.
Absolutely.
I always tell the story of, standing in the middle of the arena with my horse and, being like, I feel like an idiot, and yelling at my therapist basically, and then turning around and the horse's face is right next to my shoulder and he's like nuzzling me. And she says, oh, you decided to get real and he wants to hang out with you.
100%. They wait.
They feel it.
Mm-hmm.
And but somebody can come in our office and sit on the couch and smile till their teeth hurt and tell you everything's fine and they got it and it doesn't affect them, and you feel that too, though.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
We feel, oh, this is not, something's off. Like, you're smiling and you're nodding and you're laughing while you're discussing your dad abusing you. You know, like there's just all this distortion.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think one of the main things we're trying to do and you're trying to do with another nonprofit is keep the relational aspect into it, which with a nonprofit allows you to have relationships with people outside of Clint Davis Counseling. People can give money and support and resources, not because they want to support a business, but because they want to support like a movement and the vision of this particular type of ministry.
Yeah. Yeah. Support the work. The vision overall is to show up as God's provision for healing, and let that be acknowledged and accessible to everyone.
Mm-hmm.
And that healing is through relationships. And then that's big scale, which God's healing is available, but not everybody realizes it.
Mm-hmm.
And some people can't even get to the point where they don't think it's for them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I was in that space for a long time. So my heart is for those who don't want to go to church because they feel like they'll be judged. They don't feel good enough. They don't, I never want to be the kind of place that people don't feel like they can show up,
Mm-hmm.
whatever they are. And so what our mission hones in on is providing those relational opportunities for everyone,
Mm-hmm.
no matter what your status is and how much money's in your bank account.
That's right. I mean, that's also why the nonprofit's helpful, because like we talked about earlier, EAP is expensive. So there's a huge burden of cost on you because you have a passion for this thing, but you're the one who has to have the freaking horses and take care of them and tend to them or pay someone to do that, which with the AP you don't do because you want relationships with your horses. So you have to spend time with them and connect with them. So they're present in the room and they're present in the session, and they're not tools that you use. They're not these things that you just drag into the arena, do the therapy with the person. They don't really matter. They're just there to use, and then you send them back out to the field and you grab them the next time.
Yeah.
So I just want people to understand that takes energy on your part. That takes preparation. That takes relationship building between you and the horses. That takes going, hey, they've had 5 sessions. That horse does not need to be in the arena again, so we can't have a session. Or, we'll have this other horse come in, and, you have to work and figure all that out outside of the hour that you're seeing the client.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's definitely a lot of, what is the term? Like there's a lot of nuts and bolts to it as far as the load, the mental load, and strategically planning and setting things up. But I will point out that the horses also just get to show up as who they are. Mm-hmm. And they tell us when they've had enough, mm-hmm. and they will say no. They're allowed to say no. They can walk away in a session. The beauty of the horse is they don't lie mm-hmm. about it. We may not be able to figure out what they're saying, and that's kind of on us to figure that out. But the horses definitely add another layer of expense. Mm-hmm. But they're so worth it.
Yeah.
And the effectiveness of equine services is proven. Mm-hmm. Like the VA has done tons of research on this with people getting services, equine assisted psychotherapy and equine assisted learning. And it's so effective. I wish that the insurance companies would get on board so that it was accessible to more people, but that's okay. We're finding a way. We're going to find a way to do it. And the main reason for the transition to a nonprofit is to provide access to more people.
Yeah.
And that's one of my goals. We have several goals. Manna Horse, like we're not even 6 months old yet. So we're just an infant nonprofit. We are working on getting everything in place so that we can start well. I want to start a sustainable organization that will live on for a long time and help a lot of people. So that's just one of our goals. Another goal that we have is to educate the community on the benefits of equine assisted learning and equine assisted psychotherapy. Like the piece we already talked about, it's not therapeutic riding. There are already entities that provide those services. I would like to do 15 educational events this year. Mm-hmm. That is one of my goals for Manna Horse as the founder, and connecting with the community. So if you have a small group, or if any of our listeners have a group that would like to know more about equine assisted services, I would be happy to come and talk. And
Yeah, and this would be something that I would encourage because we've done it with the juvenile detention, juvenile court, and just watching people come out. We've done it with our therapists, other therapists in the community, and you really can't understand what we're talking about until you experience it.
Absolutely.
You can generally have an idea, but I think one of the hangups is even people that are horse people. I don't know how many people I've had that have said, "Oh yeah, I had a horse and it was so therapeutic to me," or I used to go out there every night and ride, and da 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 da, and it was very helpful, and they have all this meaning to it. But until you actually, go out and experience being connected to the horse, getting the horse to try to do something, your coping mechanisms and the way you function just are so hidden from you.
Yeah.
But the horse is so good at revealing our insecurities, our places of pain, our proclivities to push or to pull or to not feel like we have space, that we can take up space, that we can ask for what we need. And so even if it's not some deep therapeutic thing where you're dealing with, my dad and my mom abuse, man, it's so quick to see the light come on when they just do an hour or two in the round pen, or in the arena, just feeling it out. And, you go, hey, can y'all see what can you do to get the horse to go through these two barrels or whatever? And you just see that communication, the ability to communicate with other people's perspective about how you should get that done, all that stuff comes out. And those are all very amazing team building things. So I think about church staff. I think about juvenile court people. I think about anybody who's in a tough situation where they're dealing with people and kids and trauma, DCFS or Children and Family Services or foster care. Like if you want to have a really quick steroid injection of where are we at relationally, I think coming out and just doing a thing with you to see what it's like for themselves, to see if they want to refer, would be a huge opportunity and could do nothing but benefit them.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm absolutely open to that. One of the things that is fun about being with the horses as opposed to being with people, and you kind of mentioned it there, the horses feel, it sounds counterintuitive, but the horses feel safer than people because
we typically don't have actual experiences with horses that are negative. Most people, if you've never been around a horse, you have no negative experience with a horse.
Yeah, that's true.
You might have watched it on a movie or you might have your assumptions.
Yeah.
But you definitely have negative experience with humans.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think for me, it all the things that your trauma brain kind of click up, what we would call like the tall grass, right? The things that remind you of the danger but aren't really the danger. The horse can't really be that too much. I mean, they're huge, and so they definitely bring in some anxiety if you haven't been around them. But a lot of people have had a male dominate them or talk to them poorly, or a mom who's abandoned them, and then they come into a therapy office with you, and they have these real women relationships that they're like, oh, I've experienced this before. A woman's asked me what I feel like, or a man's, talked to me a certain way, and now that's kind of painting the relationship. And I do think the barrier with a horse is most people haven't had an actual negative experience with a horse.
Yeah. Well, and I think it evens the playing field as well, because even, I can say, hey, I'm just a person to my clients all day long, but there's still there can be an us and them mentality. There's a power differential there.
For better or worse.
Yeah. Yeah. Good or bad. And I feel like we have to overcome that sometimes. But with the horse, when people come out to man a horse, I'm in my boots and jeans. There's probably mud somewhere on me, horsehair. You can tell I'm just a girl out here with some horses, and it levels things out. And people don't have that same feeling with the horses, because the horses, obviously, it's a horse. They're not going to feel like the horse is more important than them. Or no, if anything, they may feel more important than the horse, although that hasn't been my experience. In general, a lot of people are really concerned with what the horse is thinking and if the horse likes them.
Oh man, it's so good.
I know why you're laughing. Yes.
Yeah, so it's hard. I mean, my work was always being like, this horse doesn't care about hanging out with me. You know what? It's a horse.
Yeah, and where does that come from for you?
Oh yeah, lots of places.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's so quick work. You know, that's the other thing. I think it's a lot more efficient.
Yeah, I think the realization is quick. And what I've noticed is, and this is another reason I want to create better access so that people can come out 4 weeks in a row, 8 weeks in a row. If they can come every week, then they really start to build that relationship. It is amazing how much people can get from just one session, just coming out and getting in front of a horse and going, oh my gosh, I had no idea all my stuff would come up. I didn't expect this. And it can be really surprising for them the first time they work with a horse. But if they can't afford to follow up, if they can't come back the next week and the next week and the next week, then they don't get to work through that. And that working through happens organically because you have a response in your body. For people who intellectualize and, you can talk about anything all day long.
Yes.
That is all in your head.
Talk to me.
That's all in your head. That's just the thinking part of your experience. That doesn't include your emotions. It doesn't include your body, and it doesn't include your spirit. Like, we were designed to be integrated and to get the information from all of those places, and we miss out on it because basically trauma cuts us off. We get cut off from our emotions because if we don't feel safe, that sends our body into red alert, and then all of a sudden you can't feel your body either. And it happens all the time out there with horses. If you're not present in your body and you're not feeling what you're feeling and you're not connecting to yourself and what you want to do in that moment, the horse they're going to eat grass.
Yeah, but Amanda, intellectualizing keeps me safe and keeps me from not having to be vulnerable, and I can just think about it and think all the right things, and I don't actually have to do anything different. I mean, I'm joking, but I mean, that is the point is, we talked about this before in a million times, but psychotherapy is, a Christian psychotherapy for Christians, I think is amazing. I think it's very helpful, but there's certain people at certain times in certain situations where talking about it is not what you need. You've talked it to death. You know what's wrong with you. You know your past trauma. You even know, my dad did this and he said this and this impacted me this way. And I can talk about it 6 ways from Sunday. But what you need to do is feel it.
Right.
You need to be in a space where you can feel that. And so some people would do EMDR. We have somebody who does brain spotting. There's art therapy and music. We have music therapists. We have an art therapist. We have all these different ways and resources because people are different. They're different body types, different personalities, different temperaments, different, needs at a moment. And equine therapy is just another one of those avenues to say, hey, talk therapy is great. Even art therapy is great. But who are the people that God is shaping and has shaped in their story and with their personality and temperament, who being with a horse, being with an animal, first of all, outside, like, that's what you need. And I think you're not trying to save everybody. You're not saying everybody should go to equine assisted psychotherapy or even learning, but there's a huge pool of people that I think God has already been invested in and is already speaking to and already has a passion for this, who, man, that's the opening that you want to, to bring into this community, is so people can be funneled who want to be there.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And, the truth is we are all wired the same.
Yeah, believe it or not.
We are created to feel our feelings and to get information from our bodies, in addition to using the thinking part of our big brain and figuring things out. What if you can figure things out with all the information, like all the information that your body holds and all the information from your emotions? And some of it might be from the past, and you're bringing it into this moment. And sometimes we're not even aware of that. That's what's dangerous.
Oh, most of the time people are not aware of it. I mean, you know the look on somebody's face when you say, hey, where do you're making that face right now. What's going on? And, oh, yeah, and you call them out on it and they tear up and you say, okay, well, where do you feel that in your body? And they're looking around like you have 4 heads because they've never thought about where their grief or their sadness or their sorrow or their pain is in their body.
Yeah. That can be a very scary question when you, and I'll speak for myself, I was disconnected from my body for a really long time, and I didn't feel things. I didn't know what was happening in my body, and my body would be doing things like, especially with the horses, they called me out on it. I've been to plenty of equine therapy of my own, and they would call me out on it because my shoulders were curling in. Like I would be trying to make myself small when I'm trying to lead a horse. And I'm a horse person. Like I know I wasn't afraid, but some part of me was responding to that situation in that way. And I don't know that I would have known it if someone hadn't told me.
Yeah. That we also, unless we practice it, I think this is the other reason why equine therapy is really helpful, is that you get to practice with the horse and the risk is a lot lower than practicing with a human.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like, for example, people are probably like, what are you talking about? Well, you know, when you stand in front of a horse, one of the, ways you get to do is you try to ask the horse to do things.
Right.
You
so
make
not requests.
Making him do it. You're making a request, and the horse can either do it or not. Well, if you have a failure of attachment with your family and in your family system, asking for things is selfish, right? Then the energy to put into asking this 1,200-pound animal to do something sometimes has to be high. Sometimes you have to raise the pressure.
Yeah, and you have to connect with it too.
Yes. Well, that's out the gate, right? But it's like you're connected, and then like for me and lots of clients I've worked with, putting pressure on the animal, right? It feels like force instead of making a stronger request, right? So it's like in a date situation with your wife, there's trust, there's connection, and you say, hey, would you want to go out sometime next week maybe and do a date night? I mean, we don't have to if you don't want to.
You're not even connected to that request.
Exactly.
You're not really sure.
No, you're not sure, and you gave them an out, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you say, hey, I would love you and I want to go out with you, and so next Thursday we're free, I got a babysitter, let's go eat at blah, blah. That's a confident request.
Yep.
It's strong. Now she might say, we're busy, I don't really want to do that. Well, here's the problem. Right? If you don't do the work, then you go, well, for me, she said she doesn't want to, so I don't have a right to ask her. And I don't have a right to want it. And I don't have the right to push her, right? Because that's demanding or whatever.
Yeah.
When in reality, you if your wife says, no, I don't really want to do that, we're busy, you have a perfect right to put more pressure and say, hey, no, I hear you and I hear we're busy, but this is really important to me and I'd really like to do this. So if there's any way that we could move some stuff and schedule some things, here's what I'd like. And then she gets to respond. And so most of us have not learned to do that with a person. We don't even know what we think about it. We don't even know the underlying insecurities or like, is this right? Can I do this? But when you go with a horse and you have to learn to do this, there's these immediate feelings that you have, when you have a third party, especially as a clinician or a counselor, like working with you and going, well, what's going on there?
Yeah.
And they're like, I don't want to make the horse do anything. It's like, you can't make the horse do anything.
Right. Well, and just like that example, Clint, there's that fear of rejection is, and when I say you're not connected with that request, you're not connected with yourself enough to realize that you are worthy of making that request.
That's right.
And with the horses, it comes up all the time. Oh, he's eating grass. I don't want to bother him. And I'm thinking, okay, this horse can stand here and eat grass 24/7.
And will.
And you're here right now. Do you want to connect with him or do you not want to connect with the horse? I get that it feels nice to stand here and watch him eat grass. And the truth is there are therapeutic benefits to that as well.
Of course.
We don't have to really make requests, but relationships are built on requests. You can't have a relationship if both people aren't making requests. Like if I raise my hand to wave at you, you're going to wave back. And if you don't, I'm going to keep my hand up because that's me holding the pressure the same. And if you didn't wave back, then that would be a signal to me, oh, okay, maybe he doesn't like to wave. Maybe he doesn't want to say hi. Maybe he's ignoring me. Like there are a whole lot of things. There's a whole lot of reasons that could be. But if I didn't think I was worthy of being waved at to start with, I can take that as, oh my gosh, I should never wave at anybody ever again, which is what we do to ourselves. Like, I can't make this request. And in the request, the horse also has the option, just like your wife would have the option. Even if you say you increase the pressure in that example, and she said, you know what, I just can't that night. That doesn't mean I can't ever go out with you. That means this day and time doesn't work because of XYZ. And maybe the next night or the next Thursday, right? And when you feel worthy enough to follow up, to get more information instead of assuming that the internal narrative is the truth.
That's right.
Because we have these lies that we believe from something that happened 50 years ago, maybe for some of us, or 30 years ago. And it just gets confirmed over and over again. And we make up, that thinking part of us wants to figure things out. And it's going to make up things that fit that old narrative from when we felt like we weren't enough, when we weren't loved, when we weren't good enough, when Dad left and never came back. And as a child, you might think, well, that's because I wasn't a good girl. I wasn't good enough. If I had been better, he would have stayed. Well, him leaving didn't have anything to do with that little girl.
That's right.
It had to do with him and who he was. But you see how this narrative can get stuck as a false belief in our thinking brain, and I can use that brain all the time to try to figure it out based on false information. But if I can get in the moment and get in the present being and get the information from my body, get the information from what's happening right now without all of the false old beliefs, then I can see, oh wow, this is not about that. This is just about me and this horse right here who might be feeling, I don't know, a little lazy or wants to go back to his people. It doesn't necessarily have to be about rejecting me as a person, but why am I feeling the rejection? And my body is going to respond. I'm going to be able to feel what's happening in my body. And I want to just say this for everybody to know that if you are cut off from your emotions and you are cut off from your body, you can find your way back. And it's a process, and it's not easy, and it takes time. I know in the beginning when I started doing this work, which I came to counseling late, so it hasn't been very long, but I have been working on it for a few years now. And one of the coolest things for me was finding my body again. In the beginning, I could not feel my heartbeat. And I think that's a good starting place. If you think you might be cut off from your body, start trying to find your heartbeat. And if you can put your hand on your chest and find your heartbeat, hey, maybe you're doing better than you thought. But I could not. And I can now. But it took a while. And so everything that we learn about combating these old beliefs and reconnecting with ourselves and reconnecting with our body, it's a process and it takes time, and you have to show up for yourself, which starts with believing in yourself.
That's so good. Yeah, I think if we are, as Christians, as believers, I spoke at Man Church last night, and I was saying, how is it that Jesus went to the cross? How do we persevere under pressure? How do we deal with hard things? And some of that's what you're asking. Like, if we've been through a life where who we are and how we are is always secondary to everybody else, because there's an abusive parent, or nobody cared about your feelings, or there were no room for your feelings, or as a man you shouldn't have feelings, or whatever, then yeah, we're still living in that space as adults. Maybe we've dressed it up and put a smile on our face, but the reality is that doing this work, Jesus was able to go to the cross because he believed that God loved him. He believed that God loved him and that God was going to take care of him and had a plan for him, and that God's plan for him was the best plan.
Yeah.
And Jesus was very emotionally attuned. He wept, he grieved, he mourned, and so many times church religion can be this really dry, it's two ditches. It's I just need to do the right things and be obedient and follow the tasks, or it's over here hyper emotional and hyper, experiential, but yet my life hasn't changed. And it's like, I think equine therapy, what we're trying to do is teach people to be in the middle and to be able to feel their feelings and process, but not let their feelings determine their actions and behaviors, but if you don't even know what you're feeling, you can't even connect with your body. You're acting all the time, and you don't know if that, what I would say is that you don't know if that's coming from a place of pain and coping, or if that's coming from a place of peace.
Yeah.
And I think doing the work with equine therapy really allows you to take a magnifying glass to that. And then thirdly, you do have another person there, right? You're not sending yourself out into the field with a horse and then expecting to get a whole lot of information. You have a person who is watching and looking and giving you feedback and asking good questions, so that you can have that accountability and that insight that we don't have ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah, I think facilitation is so important in equine therapy, because you have to ask first of all, everybody's got to be safe. We've got to be safe around horses. I joked earlier that, it seemed counterintuitive, but they are huge animals and they have minds of their own, and they can do their own things, and they have feet, so they kick, and they have teeth, so they bite. But the facilitation part of it is a learned skill. Mm-hmm. And I've been practicing that for a while now. Clint's worked on some too. And Manna Horse hopes to, or as an entity, we hope to be able to bring some of that training here locally. We need boots on the ground. I need it to be more than just me and Sarah out there trying to do as many sessions as we can on a Monday and a Friday, so that more people can have access.
Yeah, shout out to Sarah.
Yeah, she's great. She's actually on the board.
That's right. So talk about Sarah for a minute. She's
Sarah Harris is the vice president. She works at Restoring Light Counseling.
Yeah, it's great practice in North Bossier.
Yeah, she's been.
She was my personal assistant for a long time and did a great job, and then came in and got her master's and got her internship stuff and OPC stuff, and went and flew the coop and is doing great things with Restoring Light. And Teresa's up there too. And I think that's the beautiful part about what you're doing and with equine therapy is, trying to have relationships with many practices, people who have the same vision, the same heart, the same ministry, mind state. There's no need in being competitive.
Yeah.
God brings us in all these different spaces, and we still have great connections with people who go and move to other places, but this brings some people back together, and people we love and care about and respect, to go, hey, let's see how we can, the more people working on this, the more resources we can get, the more we can get this going for the community, not for, any other reason.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I've always been collaborative. Yeah. I want everybody to be included. There are some very specific nonprofits that serve very specific populations here that are doing some equine assisted learning and some horsemanship-based classes. And if anyone wants to get in touch with Manna Horse, we have a website. It's mannahorse.org. O-R-G.
We'll put it in the show notes.
Okay, good. Put all that stuff in the show notes.
I will. Because
I want people to be able to contact us and reach out. We're on all the social medias, but we're not very good at it. So bear with us. It's hard getting stuff. We could definitely use some help in that. Like, we need volunteers that are good at maybe social media and help, because our board, we have a small board, and we're working on creating events that people will come to. Hopefully, like bi-monthly, just I think it's going to be coffee, horses, and questions, or something like that, where people can come out and see the horses and actually get to participate.
Little CHQ.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't decided. It's going to be those 3 words, but I haven't chosen the order yet.
Yeah, I got it. GHC, HCQ. There's all kinds of.
Yeah, I can geek out on that for a while.
ChatGPT about it.
I like ChatGPT.
Yeah, it helps. Okay. Well, anything we're missing?
Yes. I don't know what it is.
Show us the money. Send us the money. I'll ask for you. Listen, this stuff takes money, and if you have a lot and you are looking for a ministry to donate to, I can personally attest, right? And I have no buy-in to this at all, but I can personally attest that Amanda and Sarah and the people that she's going to bring into this nonprofit are really going to help people heal. And equine therapy's changed my life. I've seen it change countless clients' lives in the work that I've done with it. Amanda's fantastic. And so if you have money and have resources, like she said, if you're somebody who does social media or who on the side runs a social media company for other people, and you just want to take on this little baby of Manna Horse in its early development and teach it to walk and teach it to run, you can move on later when we get some more money and we can pay some other people. But there are avenues in which all of us can come alongside and help. And, it's important to just give a little bit, and a little bit adds up and does a lot. So if you have anything you can do that you think you could give to this ministry, please reach out to Amanda, let her know, and if you got $1 million laying around, and you just want to send it, it'd be great.
And I will add to that. I will make a softer request.
Okay.
Although I appreciate you asking for money, because it's hard for me. I am totally open to meeting with people who might be interested in giving but need more information.
And then forcing them to give.
Yeah. No, but I mean, I know it's hard. Like, money's hard to come by. So
no doubt. Doesn't grow on trees.
Respect. I was raised by a single mom. I'm a good steward. I'm a budgeter. I have managed to have horses for over 30 years now, and we haven't gone broke yet.
That's great.
But yeah, I want to meet with people in the community that are interested in these services, whether it's a stakeholder, like you said, VYJ, any of the nonprofits that might be interested in partnering with Manna Horse so that we can provide access. And definitely anyone, if this is interesting to you and you have resources, we want financial partners. I'm working on starting a scholarship fund for people that can't afford to pay, and we have a scholarship committee almost in place, so there'll be an application process. I just open anybody that's open to it. We're getting the word out.
Let's do it. We're going to keep getting the word out. Well, thank you so much for your time. And as you know, I'm super proud of you and very thankful to be a part of your life and you to be a part of mine. And I'm excited after all these years that this is getting off the ground and to see where it goes. So thank you for sharing with our people and our community. And guys, please check out Manna Horse. We'll put the show notes or the links all in the show notes, and follow them on social media, email Amanda, pray, you can pay, pray, or go. That's kind of our 3 routes. You can come and join in and do it. You can, pray, or you can give some money. And so no matter what, I would hope that any of you guys that are out there could write down Manna Horse on your prayer list and pray for the Lord to move and for miracles to happen and a healing to be brought into this community, because ultimately we can change symptoms. People can lower their nervous system. They can widen their limited tolerances. They can do all this kind of things. But without seeing Jesus, without really knowing his sacrifice and what he's done and experiencing that through other believers, what are we doing? So I know that's the ultimate goal, is for people to feel loved and to feel seen and to glorify God in their life. And these horses were created by him, so they're an amazing tool that we can use.
Yeah. Thank you, Clint. Thanks so much for having me today.
Absolutely. Thank you. God bless you, and have a good week.